Dude, if we record it over.
Now we're rolling.
D-hole Jack Attack. What do you have to say to me?
So how was the poetry jam? You know, we all know
V-Day.
last week was V-Day. Last week, as we all know, was Valentine's Day, and there was a great poetry jam at TDU. Love Me Not. How did that go, Pat?
Oh,
I
for
didn't go.
sure, Jack. It was a fun time. So there's a group on campus, a poetry club called Word is Born, and every year around Valentine's Day we have a poetry jam called Love Me Not Poetry Jam, where poets will read stories, love me not. It can have anything you think about love, whether it be relationships or other things, and it's at TDU, and it went really well. If you're interested in poetry, writing, prose, fiction, nonfiction, check out Word is Born Poetry Club. We meet every Wednesday night from 7 to 8:30 in Kiesel G1. So check us on out.
Dude, that's
You're about
that's
it.
awesome. I mean, in the Breeze, we saw there was an article that had about 8 couples from JMU.
That was a cool article. I like that.
Yeah, and I
very
thought that was
heartwarming.
great. It was heartwarming.
The photos they used were varying and like
They were interesting. Some of the couples, one of the partners didn't look like they wanted to be there. Like they just
The
grabbed
others were all
someone for
over
the
each other.
photo.
Well, it was just so weird because like some of them looked like professional photo shoots, and one of them was like a selfie.
Yeah,
was just-
exactly.
I don't know, it was
but that
really
may
weird.
tell the state of their relationship.
True.
But also, I thought that was interesting because when we talk about college relationships, I never had that. And I mean, as a commuter, it was harder to date.
Yeah,
right?
you weren't even here.
So all I had to do was I had to go to class and maybe make time for a girl in between classes, right? But at the same time,
That's all you could do.
But at the same time, I encountered that, and it was funny. At my time at JMU, defied the stereotype of the guys actually being the ones into the wanting just other things, and the girls actually wanted a full relationship. But it was actually quite the opposite. The girls were having commitment issues.
Yeah, it's interesting that that stereotype is.
Yeah, so I wanted a relationship, and the girls were like, I don't want to do this till I'm 30.
Yeah, it is interesting. College is a whole new ball game, isn't it there, Mike? Isn't it there, Mike?
Well, it's interesting, but I mean, I couldn't put in the time or the effort to have a full-fledged relationship, and I don't know if any of us are attractive enough to make that photo shoot.
And I honestly,
Hey,
I've been seeing.
Let's be real. There were some cute people in that article, but not all of them were.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I have a pretty good hairline, right? Like, I think I have pretty solid. Like,
You get Trump hair when you wear the hat.
I know, like,
Dude, but no, I've been seeing a lot of young people our age getting engaged, getting married, which is interesting. People are like, wow, that's too young, but honestly, I feel like
they're
a
also
lot
in
of
the
relationships that start in college. College is not a very good time, I don't think, to be in a relationship, honestly, because you have to figure out yourself, you have to figure out your own life, you got to figure out what you like, what you don't like, you're changing, you're growing, and it's amazing when you can do that with a person. But at the same time,
you're not mature enough.
I don't think you're.
I think it's more about expectations. Some people are mature enough by the time they get to college to get engaged. That's just how that works.
Yeah, but you have to think regionally. Like, people from my high school, people are on their 4th kid.
True.
You know what I mean? And I don't
That's
think that
risky
reflects
business.
maturity. I think that just reflects
like cultural values.
cultural values and the prospects of the
So
region.
I was raised in like a conservative Christian household,
Yeah.
and so like the people around me, like that was the culture I grew up in, and people were getting married at like 20, and it was totally normal. They'd have kids. They'd end up having a kid like 3 months after they got married.
Oh,
so
shotgun wedding.
yeah. So
I actually met a woman the other night at the Artful Dodger. It might have been the night that we went and kind of had our whole spectacle of dancing with the gay crowd and everything, that whole deal. But I was talking to her, and she said she met her husband and they were high school sweethearts, and she has 4 kids. She's only 27 years old.
Wow.
And she basically was like, things aren't working out very well. It's like you kind of get tired, you grow old of each other. She's like, it's kind of sad, but she's like, I love my kids, and it's kind of.
And there's the debate. Should you have a high school sweetheart or a college sweetheart?
Well, you can't
should
say
you date a variety until you're emotionally and physically and financially complete before you.
I mean, that's how I feel. I feel that like I don't want something too serious before. Like,
life's too short though, dude. You can't just be waiting. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
Exactly,
smart
that's the
decision.
thing.
People
You gotta
say that.
seize
You
the
can't wait.
opportunity, seize the moment.
People
and
say life's too short, but like it's the longest thing you'll ever do.
yeah. Wow, D.L. Jack with the wisdom. That's very true.
The truth.
Is that a Seinfeld quote?
I don't think there's
think it
one
might
right
be.
way
It's a
to
quote,
do
I
it.
stole it from somewhere, but
Yeah.
I don't know where.
But
Seinfeld had this whole thing. He goes, "Life is too long." He goes, "Most of the time you're just sitting around waiting for things
waiting to die.
to happen." Yeah. he
My
goes-
dad was cracking me up. He was like, I've done it, man. I'm sprinting towards the finish line. He's like, I don't give a crap. Like, and he'll probably work till
Because it's what
he's like
society almost tells
65
you to
too.
do. I don't know, but yeah, so it's interesting. You can't wait for that one to walk in your life, but at the same time, it's like,
You can't have this idea of the one. And you
Yeah.
can't have too many expectations and too many
and that's always
standards.
my
And
problem.
it's really, it's all about like these, narratives that we're told. It's like this is how this is gonna go. You're gonna meet
You mean
someone.
Disney movies?
Yeah, Disney movies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Disney
screws
movies
us up.
ruin
Not,
you.
not even like I have never watched like the Disney princess movies
Oh, no.
growing up. Like I didn't watch most.
Oh, I
Disney-
loved them. Honestly,
Yeah.
I still love them.
Well,
That's just
I
me.
get down with
I
them.
love them now, but like it was I wasn't raised with that. I was raised
Yeah.
I was raised on like Die Hard and The Matrix. Like all I ever saw, I watched action movies as a kid, where romance was a secondary thing.
An accessory.
But like there is a story you're told, by your parents, by movies, whatever, and unless you are aware that it's something that you're told is gonna happen, you're gonna be constantly just looking for like validations of that narrative.
And that's my-
Absolutely.
yeah.
This is what's supposed to happen. That means I'm normal. I don't have to worry anymore.
Dude, and the
all
media
about
really
worry.
screwed with our kind of generation. I think that's the reason women feel like they need to like have this ultra super appearance as like this supermodel body kind of
Yeah.
thing, and they are
It's all social
self-conscious.
norms, like we were talking about
It's
earlier.
it's terrible.
And that's and it also like it affects men the same way. Like it's because
Yeah.
we see. I read this great article about there was like a little town like one of the Japanese islands that they were like tribal. They didn't interact with the outside world very much. They brought like TVs in and they started watching TV, and within 3 years, like 10% of the female population had eating disorders. Like as soon as we see like what can be considered the best in quotes,
Yeah.
there's like it used to be back in medieval times, you could be the chick down
Not
the
have to
street.
wear makeup and
Yeah,
get
I mean,
implants.
because you
and
were the hottest person that you've ever seen, because you don't see very much.
Yeah, but it was more hot out of convenience.
Yeah.
When everyone had to ride horses, I don't want to go 10 miles more up the road. I'll just, sleep with my neighbor.
before when we actually needed or valued physical connection as opposed to
Yeah, but
just
that's-
going
I
on
think that's
Tinder and
always
like
been-
shopping for your
Yeah, but to be honest,
date.
it may look different now, but I think the cavemen even had their own Tinder.
Yeah, they write their bio on the cave wall.
Well, you know what I mean? I think even
yeah.
physicality existed then. Like maybe we
Oh,
give
it's
technology.
Dude, obviously physicality existed
Well, no,
since we've been
in terms of like
humans.
reproducing.
Yeah.
in terms of being aware of your, physical being and how you project yourself socially.
Yeah.
That's just human nature.
Yeah, and I personally don't think people really change. It's just the tools we have to do.
yeah.
Exactly.
But it is taking away from the value of human connection, that physical
I
connection.
don't believe
as-
that though, because when you walk around and you're like, everyone's on their phone all the time. You know what they're doing on their phone?
They're seeking connection.
They're texting their friends. They're probably
Yeah.
talking to a loved one, and it's
And they're
kind of-
probably uncomfortable wherever they are.
Yeah,
And back then they couldn't
But
do that because
There's
they
a
were writing
great
letters.
quote from some famous author, I don't remember who it is, who's like, these days nobody talks around the fire, they've got their head buried in some novel. Like, it's been the same.
Yeah.
As long as we've been able to distract ourselves, we have.
We're able to connect with each other so much better now. Honestly, it's what you make of it. It's a distraction or it's a resource, but I think it's going to do something.
And that's why you should ignore your parents at the dinner table and listen to our podcast.
Thanks for listening.
That's all, folks.
I just